Okay, so what we're going to be doing is stretching a piece of watercolor paper. And the reason why you want to stretch watercolor paper is because, as you guys know, when paper gets wet, it's going to buckle and it's going to curl, and when it dries, it's going to stay curled. And when you stretch paper, it's going to stop doing that. So I have an example right here of a piece of stretched watercolor paper. So when this paper gets wet, when you paint on it, it's not going to, well, it will buckle, but when it dries, it will flatten itself back out again. And there's multiple ways to stretch watercolor paper. This is the first way I'm just going to show you guys. So way number one is using this gum tape. And what you want to do is tear a piece of tape around the perimeter of the piece of paper that you have. So right now I have a piece of Arches cold press paper. It's like 90 pounds. I'm just going to tear some pieces over here. The trick with this type of stretching of paper is you want to be prepared. You don't want your paper to get wet and not have your tape ready to go. That's not a good thing. Okay, I got my tape ready to go. I've got a board to put my paper on, and I need a sponge and some water. Just going to get this sponge wet here, and I'm just going to put it across the paper. Get the paper wet first. Now, I've read that some people like to get their board wet first before putting on the paper. You know, I haven't tried it, but maybe someday I should. But I've been able to be successful without wetting the board. Okay, after I'm done with that, I'm going to get this paper wet. I swear the best way to do this is have the tape lick the sponge. So I'm just going to put my hand down, have it lick the sponge. I want the tape to cover about 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch of the paper, and I'm just kind of eyeballing how far I need to do that. I'm going to flip the sponge over because sometimes the gravity of the water goes to the bottom of the sponge. Something that I have learned doing this, that you want to either go clockwise or counterclockwise when you lay down the tape. You don't want to put a piece of tape here, then a piece of tape here, and here, and here. It always wrinkles when I do it that way. Okay, I'm going to do that one more time. That just didn't quite get as wet as I wanted it to. So laying it down 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch onto the paper. And last piece of tape. Oh, one more time. That feels about right. If you mess this up the first time, don't worry about it. You're not alone. It takes practice. If you see any tape start to peel up onto the sides of the paper, you want to make sure that you push it down and just kind of watch it. Right now, I'm not having any of those issues. Oh, a little bit right there. But and if you see it kind of bubbly and wrinkly right now, that's okay. When it dries, it's going to flatten itself all the way again. And that's it. All I got to do is wait for it to dry, and it should be ready to be painted on.